my name is Vivian Vanessa with student number B102420104. I'm a student in Management International Class Department in Universitas Tanjung Pura. So today in this video, the purpose is to fulfill my midterm examination of Human Resource Development lecture that has been taught by Mr. Adi Musalin S.E. So here it is. Okay, first of all, I would like to explain about how's the condition of the class of HRM itself. So during the pandemic time, me, my friend, and also Sir have done our activity in the class by online. So we use Zoom meeting as the via for our study. So I have already attended the Zoom class of HRM itself for 7 times. Start from the class has begun until last week, or the last meeting before we have our midterm test. And the reason why I keep attending the class because I want to learn about the lecture of human resource development itself. But it's not only just because it is one of the lecture that must be taken and must be followed, but also because I have interest on it. I have interest on HRM itself. I think the knowledge in managing people is such a big thing to be dealt with, so I have to learn it well. I have to learn it seriously because this lecture has a big impact for me. Okay, as what I have said before, we have 7 meetings of HRM in a Zoom meeting, but we only have 6 topics that have been discussed together because the first meeting is only introduction of each students in the class. So at the second meeting, we have already discussed the chapter 1 of the book that with title Human Resource Management in Organization. So in this chapter, I know that HRM in wide environment can be seen as organizational core competency. The core value created by HRM itself is important. Why? Because it is a thing to differentiate themselves from competitor, and also the good culture will lower employee turnover in that company. I also learned about HRM functions, also HRM contributing role, organizational culture, how to build the good organization culture, and also I learned about the major roles of HR being transformed from the traditional one that is so focused on the administration, but now they're transformed to be better by focusing on the strategic HR management. And also I learned about what challenges HR facing today. So if I'm not mistaken, there are 6 challenges that HRM facing nowadays, and also I learned about the competencies needed by HR professionals. Okay, the next topic is about chapter 2 of the book with title Strategic HR Management and Planning. So from this chapter, I got that strategic planning is a process of defining organizational strategy and allocating resources, either from the human resource or the capital resources to reach the goal of an organization. There is strategic planning process, also the HR factors in SWOT analysis itself. Also there is human capital effectiveness measures. So the example is such as human capital value added, or we know as HCVA, and also I learned about the HR analytics. Okay, move to the next chapter. It is chapter 3 about EEO, or Equal Employment Opportunity. So from this chapter, I know that EEO is equal opportunity for everyone to get job according to the qualified certification to its job position. So here we have 4 keys of EEO, namely business necessity and job relatedness, bona fide occupational qualification, burden of proof, and also non-retaliation. So I also know about the differences in pay between men and women in the same jobs may be a lot according to some requirements, of course, and also I learned about the sexual harassment at workplace, which is tragic for me to know that. And the other discrimination from gender, religion, nationality, and based on their sexual orientation, and so on. And from this chapter, I also know that disabilities opportunity in working. So everyone, really everyone in this world has a job opportunity as long as they want to get a job. And as employer, we have to consider that very, very well. Okay, the fourth one is about workers, jobs, and job analysis. So from this chapter, I got that as a worker, we do face workforce competition, and it directly affects toward business performance in a company. So the composition is included from gender, race, generational, and so on, which is crucial to be learned. And in this workforce diversity, I also learned about there is a immigrant worker topic, types of employee in company, and also nature of jobs and work, and also I learned about BPR. And besides that, I also know about the definition of job design, characteristics of jobs, and also work flexibility and scheduling. The fifth topic, it is about human resource planning and retention. So in this chapter, I know that HR planning is a step to analyze and identify the need for and availability of human resources so the goals of the company can be reached. Well, there are 4 steps in HR planning process, and from this chapter, I know that I know about forecasting HR demand and supply, and I know about how to estimate the internal labor supply. And when we are developing the HR plans, we have to examine the potential HR availability, both from external and also for the internal. And I also know that retention itself is becoming important effort to do by every company in the whole world, because if the retention is good, then it could decrease the worker turnover in a company, so the good name of the company will be maintained. Last is the 6th topic of the book with title Recruiting and Labor Markets. So recruiting is important since it is a part of HR strategic planning, and we know recruiting is a process of generating a pool of qualified applicants for organizational jobs. And integrating the recruiting components, there is a relationship between labor markets, recruiting responsibilities, goals, and also the resources itself. And I know recruiting sources can be found from internal and also from the external. And recruiting can be done with internet, but followed by the advantage and also disadvantages. And from this chapter, I know about effective recruiting and also the importance of training for recruiters and also managers, because we know that people always put the job applicants at the first one that needed to be trained for, but we sometimes forget if there is also some ethics that should be followed by the recruiters and also for the managers. So there is why training for recruiters and also managers in the job applicants is very important. Okay, I have already talked about the topic that me, my friend, and Sir have been discussed during the class. So now I will talk about my activeness along the class in a Zoom meeting of HRM lecture. So I think I am quite active during the discussion in a Zoom meeting class of HRM. I always make sure that at least I answer one question every meeting. So since the first meeting there is no discussion at all, and the discussion is start on the second meeting, so I will start to explain from the second meeting of HRM class. Okay, the second meeting is talk about the chapter 1 of the book. And from the chapter 1, I don't answer any questions because actually I'm still a bit shy and I'm not brave enough to explain my answer, so I just give closing comment. And my closing comment is I know more about the roles of HRM itself in a company, and I know as a manager, in here we manage people, not things. So in managing people, we have to put our logic and our feeling, because we have to understand people well, what's the problem in a company, and how well the employee love their job, and how well they can adopt into the culture in the company, because those things are important in performing the job well for every employee in every company. Okay, at the third meeting, we talk about the chapter 2, and I explain about the HR headline, namely strategic utilization of talent benefits healthcare organization, and I give answer about what I learned from the headline. From the headline. And my answer is what I can get from reading this HR headline, which titles Strategic Utilization of Talent Benefit Healthcare Organization, is with good strategy and effective utilization of human resources in an organization, we lead a company to find a way out and survive from the problem they were facing. So as a manager, we have to be smart in analyzing and identifying what problem our company has, and find a strategy to overcome it. As what the memorials manager have done, all employees are involved in saving their organization from the national economic crisis, and their strategy is successfully done, because as we can see, the result is in total, the Memorial Health System reduced costs by 45 million and increased revenues up to 25 million. A major success was that Lee Memorial saved around 200 positions that had been slated for the layoff. And you may be wondered actually what they have done to save it. So what I have done here is six Sigma project identified areas for cost reduction. They improve the patient flow, save the hospital around 5 million, and they modifying the employee paid time off, or we know as PTO program, to be consistent with other local employers, and they can save up to $4 million. Next, at the fourth meeting, we talk about the chapter 3 of the book. It is about EEO, the Equal Employment Opportunity. So here in this meeting, I answer to Sir question about if I were experiencing discrimination in a company, so what will I do then? And my answer is that I will keep it for myself first and try to talk to my friend, because I think that is the most realistic things that we will do first in most cases, and then I will try to talk to the HR department or the top management in a company in order to try to get help for the discrimination that I have experienced. Next, to the fifth meeting that we have already discussed about the chapter 4 of the book, and I answered to what HR headline teach me about. And this HR headline, the title is work-life balancing, and my answer is that I knew that life balancing is important because it can affect the worker and also organizational performance. If job and work-life issues not balanced, the employee performance quality in working, of course, will decrease. It teach me when being a top manager, we have to consider the working time for employees, since they also have to take care of themselves and their family. They're not only working for our organizations. Indeed, we can actually maximize the utilization of technologies Also, we know that nowadays people can work without they have to go to the office, or we know as telecommuting. So it could be an alternative for employers if they want to be implement this kind of way in working, because it also directly related to the flexibility of working time. Move to the sixth meeting. Me, my friend, and Sir, we talk about the chapter 5 of the book, and I answered to a question that is what is job satisfaction and how important is job satisfaction to you when you are working in a company. So here my answer to that question is job satisfaction is a measure of the level of satisfaction of workers with their type of work, and it is related to the nature of their job duties, the work achieved, and the form of supervision obtained, as well as the sense of relief and liking for their work they are doing now. And job satisfaction helps to increase the profits. So that is the importance of job satisfaction. It can help the company to increase profits. It can help company to hire or increasing the productivity, or we know as retaining the employees. So if we can retain our employees well, so it means the turnover will be lower. And also, if the employee have job satisfaction, the loyalty by the employee also will be high, so they will think twice or third times or even fourth time to leave our company. And also, we can increase customer relations in an organization. Last, it is the seventh meeting. We talk about the chapter 6 of the book, and I answered to one question. So this question is about what do I know about the training of recruiters and also managers. So my answer to this question is that training for recruiters and manager importance is how much training will be given to recruiters and also managers. There are some crucial learning activities given by the trainers related to which one is violating EEO and how to be delicate towards the diversity issue with applicants, especially when we talk directly to the applicants. Therefore, we will have communication skills. So we have to avoid the misunderstanding between applicants and also the recruiters. So communication skill is very important here. And besides that, employers also have to learn about ethical behavior of recruiters during the recruiting process. So those are the explanation, the description about my activeness during the class of Zoom meeting of HRM lecture. I know that my activeness is not really good enough. I still have to improve it because I only answer one question every one meeting, but I can say that I will not change it. At least I will still put a target that at least one question is answered by me at every meeting, but I hope in next class I can answer more than this. Okay, we move to the next one. I will talk about the video recording. So in every class that we have done, there are some questions. Sometimes there are some questions that have not been answered, or if we have already answered all questions that Sir has given to us, we have to make a video that contains a summary of the chapter that we have read and we have discussed together in the class. So since we have already discussed 6 chapters, so there are 6 video recordings also. And I have already recorded all the answers to the questions that for discussion, including the video of summary if the questions all have been answered in the class. So in total amount, there are 6 videos that I have already taken, and I also have already posted on WhatsApp group. I have already posted on Ruang Dosen. I already posted on Facebook group also. So So here the 6 topics that I have already recorded is the first one, video about human resource management in organization. So here's the video, and the second one, the second topic is about strategic HR management and planning, and here's the video, the thumbnail of my YouTube. And the third topic is about equal employment opportunity, or the EEO. Here's the thumbnail of my YouTube. And the fourth one is about workers, jobs, and job analysis, and here's the video. And the fifth one is about human resource planning and retention, and here it is. Okay, and the last one, or the sixth one, is about the topic is about recruiting and also labor market. So here's the video. It is the new one. So I already forgot to tell you guys that besides I upload the video on WhatsApp group, Facebook group, and also Ruang Dosen, I also post every video of my recording about the lecture of HRM in every chapter on YouTube also, so you can check it out. Okay, actually the time goes really fast, so I have already followed the 6 meetings of the HRM lecture, so here I will give a bit impression about the HRM lecture, even though it is done by online, but I think this lecture is still good, it's still effective, it's still efficient, because Sir always asks us to be active in every meeting and always asks us to answer all the questions that he has given to us. So my first impression, okay, I'll start from my first impression. My first impression of joining in the HRM lecture by online is actually I am amazed, because there were no lectures that has been asked us to be that active in the class, but along the way I really enjoyed the class, because I acknowledge that listening to my friends' opinion is very interesting, and I'm so glad to listen to every opinion that they have give. Their opinions is very good, I really love it, and I also learned how to give my opinion in the class. So the advantage of this class for me is I can gain more knowledge indeed to every chapter in HRM by reading the book, because every week I have to read one chapter of the book. And at first I think it is a bit heavy for me, because I don't really like it, but then along the way I knew that it's very good things to do, and it is a very good thing to be continuous for me to do it in the future, because every time I read the chapter and I gain more knowledge, I know new things, which is very useful for me. And also not only gain my knowledge, but also I can answer on word file to every question that Sir has given to me. And by being active in every meeting in a class, it trained my public speaking skills and also train my courage to speak, because at first I'm not really brave. I have no courage to speak because I'm scared and shy of my answer, whether it's bad or anything else. So every negative things are swimming in my head. But along the way in HRM class, it is very useful for me. The advantage is very good, because now I am more confident in delivering my opinion, and I really love it. So thank you very much, Sir. Now I will talk the theories of HRM. So first I will start from recruiting using special technology. So here, do you guys know that nowadays recruiting is very wide? I mean, everything is used by the recruiters to attract the applicants for their job vacancy. So here, recruiting using special technology means that the recruiting using internet that has been used by people globally for a number of years. So we know that everyone, not everyone, but I mean almost everyone in this world have already used internet. So everyone can look and search for it, and it is almost, I can say it's almost free, but we have to pay. But internet nowadays is really increasing the user of it, so it is a very good advantage that can be used, that can be utilized by the recruiters in every company. So several special internet tools that can be used as a part of recruiting efforts are like blogs, videos, or social media. So the social media that I will talk here is like Twitters. So I will explain it about one by one from the blogs and recruiting. Okay, blogs become alternative in recruiting to fill jobs. Both employers and individuals use blog to provide content about the job. The company that use blogs to offering the job vacancy is like Best Buy, Microsoft, and so on. And in a blog, there is a lot of information about related to the job description and what department in that company that has a job vacancy. And so when people look for a job vacancy in a Google, so there are a lot of links that they can click, and they can directly see the job description needed, and also at what department need a new employee, so they can directly looking for it. And maybe I think nowadays people can directly fill the requirements and ask for the job vacancy. The next one is e-video and recruiting. So employers are using videos in variety of ways now that all types of video capabilities are available. Some businesses utilize videos to describe their company's culture, describe their job prospects, and even can describe their recruiting methods. So some of the web movies include employment games for present and potential employees with the goal of promoting a positive image of the company. And people who are interested in working for the organization, they can follow up by filling out on online job application and learning more about the company itself. And the last one is social media and recruiting. So the social media example here is Twitter. We know that Twitter is my millennials' favorite social media. So here, recruiters send tweet message to both active and passive job candidates, and then follow up with longer emails to computers, personal contacts, or other actions to facilitate the recruiting. Since Twitter is such a relatively new service that used by the recruiters nowadays, but actually it is a best use for recruiting, because there are example of one company used Twitter in posting their job vacancy that they have in a company, and there are a lot of people attract on it. So it is a best and new idea that I think recruiters should try to give it a try. Okay, since before I have talked about the recruiting using special technology, so here I will talk something that's still related to it. So technology nowadays is related to internet, right? So I will talk about the advantages and also disadvantages of internet recruiting. So the advantages of internet recruiting is, first, many employers have saved money using internet recruiting versus other recruiting methods such as newspaper advertising, search firms, employment agencies, and so on, which is actually all of them are costing substantially more. So if we use internet, so it's cost free, right? We don't have to give any cost for it, because you only looking information through the internet, through the web, with our own device. So it's totally more effective and also more efficient. The second one is with internet recruiting, jobs are posted globally so that potential applicants in other geographic areas in other countries can view job openings posted on internet. So for the recruiters, they can get more and get wider potential and high quality job applicants. And the third one is internet recruiting also can save time, and applicants can respond quickly to job postings by sending electronic responses. And the next, after we talk about the advantage, of course, there are also some disadvantages of internet recruiting. The first one is internet recruiting often creates additional work for HR staff members and others internally, because we know that broader exposure, so the more work they have to do. And the second one is some applicants may have limited internet access, because internet access in every country, even in every region, is different. So it is especially for individuals that comes from lower socioeconomic groups and from certain racial or ethnic groups. It is actually an example only, without have any means of racism. So it is an example only, guys. And the last disadvantages is many individuals who access internet recruiting sources are browsers who may submit resumes just to see what happens. So they are not actively looking for a new jobs. They only want to see what is the HR response toward their resume that they have already made. So sometimes it is a thing that can disappoint the HR staff members, because people are not seriously looking for the job. Still related to the recruiting itself, we will talk about the recruiting sources. So actually recruiting sources there are two recruiting sources here, from external and also from internal, but here I will only talk about the sources recruiting from the external, and I will also talk about their advantage and also their disadvantage. So here are several external recruiting sources. The first one is media sources. So media sources here, the example is newspaper, magazines, radio, billboards, television, and all things that typically have been widely used in external recruiting, and we often see at the corner of the street. And the second one is competitive recruiting sources. So where other sources for recruiting include professional and trade associations, trade publications, and also competitors. The third one is employment agencies. So in employment agencies, which is recruiting source that can be both public and also private. And the next is labor unions, where a labor pool is generally available through a union, and it can benefit employers through apprenticeship and cooperative staffing programs, as they do in the building and printing industries. The next one is job fairs and creative recruiting. So where we know that job fairs have been held by economic development entities and potential job candidates together. And besides that, such creative recruiting methods sometimes can be used in generating a pool of qualified applicants, so that jobs can be filled in a timely manner. And the last one is educational institution and recruiting. So as we know, college and university students that have already finished their study and got their degree are actually a significant source of entry-level professional and technical employees. Most universities maintain career placement offices in which employers and applicants can meet. The advantages of external recruiting itself are the first one is new sources bring new perspective. And the second one, training new hires may be cheaper and faster because of prior external experience. And the third one is new hires are likely to have fewer internal political supporters in the firm. And the fourth one is that new hires may bring new industry insight and also expertise with their creativity and their idea. But besides the advantages, of course, we also have disadvantages of external recruiting. The first one is the firm may not select someone who will fit well with the job and with the organization. The second one is the process may cause moral problem for internal candidates who are not selected. And the third one is new employees may require longer adjustment period as well as the orientation efforts. Next, I will talk about a theory that comes from the chapter 3 of the book that named EEO. So here I will talk about the sexual harassment. And do you know that sexual harassment is actually can affect the performance in a company? So here I will explain them. Sexual harassment refers to actions that are sexually directed. It is actually unwanted, and those actions are harmful. It is illegal, and these actions will create traumatic and uncomfortable conditions to the victim. It includes unwanted sexual conduct such as unwelcome sexual advances, verbal conduct, physical conduct, and requests for sexual favors. So, several laws on sex and gender discrimination have addressed issues regarding pregnancy discrimination, unequal pay for similar jobs, and sexual harassment. And if there is a sexual harassment in a company, of course, I can guarantee 100% it can affect the performance in a company because the victim will have a big trauma of it. They will keep being scared and have a negative perspective towards the environment around her in a company, even though those people don't know anything about what happened to her. But that is the effect after being harassed, and the perpetrator will feel like a king sometimes because they can looking for the next victim or keep on forcing the victim that he or her has already harassed before. And actually sexual harassment can happen everywhere, literally everywhere and by everyone, because there is sexual harassment that sometimes we are not aware enough of it, but it happens every time, everywhere, and by anyone, even at a workplace. So actually I have heard a lot of cases of sexual harassment that comes from the workplace, such as from the office. So when a guy or a female in a supervisory or management position harasses the victim, who can be female or can be a male within his or her power structure, the greatest probability sexual harassment occurs at work. So other employees to employees, or other employees to co-workers, to vendors, or even a customer, all of them are actually have potential to experience a sexual harassment by the sexual harassers that may occur at work. And to develop a positive workplace environment, everyone in the organization must be aware of this type of behavior. And for the employer itself, you have to be aware, and you have to preventing you have to do some actions to preventing the sexual harassment at your office, because it is totally can affect your organization performance and can't destroy somebody's life. Okay, we move to the next one. I will talk about a theory that comes from the chapter 5 of the book that named Human Resource Planning and Retention. But now I will talk first I will talk about the human resource planning. So, human resource planning, or we know as HR planning, is a step to analyze and identify the need for and availability of human resources, either from the capital or from the human resources itself, so the goals of the company can be reached well. The focus of HR planning itself is to ensure that the organization has a right number of human resources with the right capabilities at the right times and also at the right places. So in planning, the human resource that I want to create, so here I will give a bit insight of how I plan my human resources. My idea in planning the human resources, if I have a chance, is first that I think really crucial is that I want to create a good culture first, because I have ever listened to a CEO of, if I'm not mistaken, he is the CEO of one of the information company in Indonesia. I'm so sorry, I really forget who is that. But he said that a culture in a company has a magic power because it affects the whole performance in a company. A whole performance here means a whole department. So we know that every company has different department of finance, department of operations, department of production, and etc. But the culture in a company that created by the HR and also from the core of the company has a magic power to affect the whole performance in the company. So I want to create a good culture that makes every employee feels comfortable in working, so they don't feel like they're always got under pressure of the time, got all under pressure of the work that they have, of the job that they have done. But I really want all of my employee feels comfortable in working. They have a cozy environment to work for. So besides that, I also want every employer and I want every employer and employee have a good relationships, because there are some cases which the employer, maybe the top management, such as the manager or the CEO, have a bad relationships with the employee in the company itself. So if there is an internal problem, we also have to fix it phase by phase. So I think we have to minimize the misunderstanding between worker in one company, because I think there is a big problem that has to be fixed. So if you have a problem, it's better for you to talk phase by phase directly. And if there are some workers who want to quit the job, so there must have a relevant reasons of why they want to quit the job. Still related to the chapter 5 about human resource planning and retention, here I have already talked before about the human resource planning. Now I will talk about the retention itself. So I will give my opinion about my efforts to retain the best people. So in my opinion, the best effort to retain people in a company is creating a good culture, so employee in office will feel comfortable in working, even though they are having deadline to every job they are taking. But if they love the job, the culture and created in a company, so the people will think twice to leave the company. And the culture example here is such responsibility and having respect towards every employee and also every employer, and give reward or give standard such a holiday for every employee, because it is their right to have holiday, because they're not only working for our organization but also they have time to take care of their family, take care of themselves, go to some place to healing, and etc. I will give extra effort to retain my best people, that I don't want to lose them in a company. So I think I will give some incentive for them. So I will offer some reward and some incentive for them, so that they will think twice if they want to quit the job. And I will also ask for their reasons why they want to leave. So if the answers that I think I still can afford to fix it, if I still can afford to give it to them, I will do so. So actually I don't want to leave the best people in, I don't want to lose the best people in my company, so I will do my best in give effort to retain them. Next, I will talk about the psychological contract. So psychological contract, which refers to the unwritten expectations of employees and employers have about the nature of their work relationships. So actually, psychological contract itself is important, because psychological contract can create either positive or negative relationships between an employer and also an individual. It is based on trust and commitment that leads to meeting both employers and employees' expectations and needs. It also encompasses expectations about both tangible items and also the intangible items in that company. Okay, psychological contract itself includes two important ideas. The first one is from employers' profit, and the second one is the contribution of the employees. So the employer's profit itself consists of first competitive compensation and benefits. The second one is flexibility to balance work and home life. The third one is career development opportunities. And from the employee's contribution itself, there are continuous skill improvement and increased productivity. And the second one is reasonable time with organization. And the third one is extra effort and results when needed. Okay, the last one, I will talk about the work of strategic human resource planning. So strategic HR planning predicts the future of HR needs of the organization after analyzing the organization's current human resources. So the external labor market and the future of HR environment that the organization will be operating in it. So the analysis of HR management issues external to the organizations and developing scenarios about the future are what distinguishes the strategic planning from operational planning. You may be wondered a bit and confused maybe about what is the process of strategic HR planning. So I will talk a bit about that. The first process is we review the organizational HR strategic plan, and then we can assess the external and internal work first. So here the external conditions is we see what conditions that affect our work first and also influence our work first. And from the internal one, we see the internal workforce capabilities and also the KSA. Next, we will have compiled HR planning forecasts. So here we see the demands for human resources and we see the supply of human resources. So we have to forecast both of the demand and also the supply of our labor. And the next one, we develop the HR staffing plans and actions. So here we have employee retention and turnover utilization. We have recruiting sources and means. We also have selection process and actions. Here I will talk about 3 videos that Sir has already give us the link. So actually there are 4 videos. There are four links that Sir has already given to us, but I have found out that the third and the fourth video is the second and the fourth video, the link is actually the same, so I will not explain twice because the content is the same. So I will count them as 3 videos. So the first video is about 3 recruitment methods that we must know, and the second video is about recruitment process, and the third video is about sexual harassment in the workplace. Here I will explain one by one video that I have already watched, so I hope this video will also give you some new knowledge. So in the first video, there are 3 recruitment methods widely used. The first one is the IQ test, or General Mental Ability Test, or we know as GMA. It is the best predictor of academic success and to predict how successful someone in a work, because the accuracy is up to 26%. But actually IQ is not specifically related to the job knowledge, so it can be used to hire in any position that needed. The result is related to the term of productivity. So the higher score of the IQ test, so the shorter time of productivity, and vice versa. The second one is unstructured employee interview. So it is not efficient actually, because mostly used by young entrepreneur or SMEs. It is used because they don't have enough time to make the structured questions. So actually the accuracy on predicting job performance is only about 16%. And the last one is structured employment interview. It is actually the second highest predictor, besides on the IQ test or the GMA test, on future performance. It is because the questions given for everyone is the same and has been met according to which one will give the best insight to future job performance. Then the second video is about steps in recruitment. So the first step is defining the role, where we have to make the job requirements. We have to define what criteria fits the best related to the plan of the company. Next, we will have the ideal person. So we have to build a characteristic person who can feel best for the job. It is also known as person specification. Next is attracting applicants in order to get a wide, high quality applicants. And also effective job advert sales position in the business. Next, we have selecting the right candidate to make sure that there is no personal bias in the process. And the last one is interview, where there is a note that everyone has a chance to give out their best presentation, and we don't have a right to violate it, because it is their right to present the best of their self version. And as a recruiter that involved directly to the interview for every job applicants, we have to be consistent. The last video, it is about the sexual harassment. So according to the US EEO Commission, since 2010, more than 7,000 sexual harassment are reported each year. Besides it is illegal and violating the law, it is actually negatively impacts the workplace by undermining the integrity of employee relationships, harming employee morale, and also damages the productivity. And here are stated some steps to preventing the harassment. The first one is communicate the employee that harassment is actually zero tolerance, and also we provide the sexual harassment training and establish an effective complaint process, and we take immediate and appropriate action when an employee complains about sexual harassment that they have been experienced. So as employer in company, we have to establish procedures for reporting sexual harassment that is very important to be made, and also we have to make an easy way for every employee that in case if they have sexual harassment in our company, we have to make an easy procedure for them to report it. Actually, if it can be, we have to make it as easy as it could for every employee, so it would help them to report it. And we have to be remembered that preventing sexual harassment is the best tool for every employer in a company, in a whole world. After watch all the videos that Sir has given to me, I get a new knowledge about I will define it one by one. I will start from the 3 recruitment methods. I just knew that actually the best methods that maybe I can use in the future is the IQ test or the GMA test, and also the structured employment interview. So those 2 are the methods that are suggested by the speaker of the video. So it is very useful for me to know that, and I'm so thankful I get that new knowledge here. And also from the second video that talk about the recruitment process, I also get a new knowledge about the recruitment process, and I learned that recruitment process is not that easy. We have to prepare it very well in order to get the right man at the right place. So as employer that directly involved in the interview and recruiting process, we really have to understand about the recruitment process, so we will not get wrong people that work for our company. And for the last video about sexual harassment, I do really enjoy it because the speaker give a best solution for the employer to taking care, and also give a big concern to the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace. She even give an example of easy way for the employer to give preventing actions for the employee who works in a company, because preventing is the best tool, and I do totally agree with her. So all of those 3 videos are really useful for me today, that I have really watched today, because I get new knowledge, I aware more about the environment, and more I aware more, I do put more aware about the people around me, the society around me. And this video, I hope I can implement it one day in the future, whether from the recruitment process, from the recruitment methods, and also give a concern about the sexual harassment in a company. So that's the end of my video. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for watching this video. I'm so sorry if I talk randomly, if my pronunciation is still bad. I'm so sorry for that, but thank you very much, sir, for giving me a chance to make this video, giving me a chance to talk in every meeting in the classroom via online, and I do really appreciate it so much. So it is the end of my video for the midterm test. I hope you guys like this video. Thank you very much, and God bless you, everyone. See you.